Can you hear me okay? Everyone can hear me? Okay, raise your hand if you started speaking because you felt like you had a story to share. Anyone? Yeah, I know that's why I got in, right? Well, it was really interesting. Just the other day, I was sitting on a call with a potential client for a paid speaking gig that I wanted. I was sitting there, and we were talking on Zoom, and she asked me a really interesting first question. Thank you. Any ideas what it would be? What would the first question be from a potential client to pay you for a speaking gig?
Why would I hire you?
Why would I hire you? What do you speak on? Maybe what's your speaking fee? What do you charge? Exactly. It wasn't any of those things. This was her question for me. She said, are you a speaker with a story that just gets on stage and tells me something interesting about your life? Or are you going to actually help impact and change my audience? Now, I think as speakers, some of you have wide eyes, right? As speakers, I think we would do well to think about why someone trying to pay us to speak would ask that specific question. Are you here to just share an inspirational story, or is what you're going to do actually help me? Is it actually going to change me? Is it actually going to make me more money? Fair question. If we're being asked to speak for thousands of dollars for usually an hour, I think it's a fair question. Today, as I've been thinking about what I could share of how to help us craft effective and impactful keynotes, I've been thinking about my experiences as I've been coaching different people on putting together their keynotes. Now, there's a struggle there because most of us, like you saw by raised hands, we get into speaking because we have a personal, impactful story to share that's very special to who? To us, and maybe to our moms. I don't know. Maybe not your mom, but my mom's pretty nice. I don't know. No, it's important to us. And so sometimes, some of the things I'm going to share today, it might feel like I'm messing with your baby a little bit, right? Becky, we've talked about this as I've coached Becky. We take the most traumatic, important things that have happened to us in our life, and we try to make it marketable. And that can feel scary, and it can feel hard. And that is why today what I want to talk to you about is this idea of surrendering the story ego. I think all of us have some ego about the story that brought us here, and for good reason. It is important. It is special. It is worth. Does it bring value is the question. The way it is packaged, does it bring value? So today I want to talk about two things that I've learned that sometimes we would do well to sacrifice to make our keynote impactful, to make sure that it's about the audience and not about us. The thought I want you, if you could remember anything from what I'm going to say today, this is the thought I'd want you to remember, and it's this. Sometimes we need to sacrifice what's important to us for what's impactful for them. Sometimes we need to sacrifice what's important to us for what's impactful for them. We do this in two ways. I'm also going to share two because we have short time today. There's a lot of different ways you can do this, but I want to share two specifically with you today. One is being willing to surrender our polished image, and number two is being willing to surrender unnecessary details of our story. So this last Christmas, I love Christmas, okay? I love Christmas. I was dreading this last Christmas because this would be, and as someone that's newly divorced, this would be my first Christmas without my kids. And so I knew two things that I wanted for Christmas. One was I wanted to leave the state because if I couldn't be near my kids on Christmas morning, I didn't want to be near my kids. I wanted to leave the state. And number two, I didn't want to be with other little kids because I felt like they would just remind me of the real little kids I want to be with, my own. So I looked around and I talked to some friends about maybe going on a cruise or something, and then when I realized I actually don't have a lot of friends, at least that want to go on cruises, I relented to my sister, and she said, hey, just come down to Arizona, come hang out with me and her husband and 5 kids, and so I said, okay. So if you'll come with me for a moment, Christmas morning, well, the night before I helped do all the festivities and things, Christmas morning comes, and me and my sis, we stayed up way too late, obviously, the night before. So I've gotten like 3 hours of sleep. I look amazing, obviously. And I'm sitting there on the couch, And my nieces and nephews come to me and they present me with this box. Looked a whole lot like this one, except it didn't say Chacos on it. Don't worry about it. They present me with this box and they're like, Aunt Julie, open this. I was like, okay. What I didn't know is when they heard that Aunt Julie was coming for Christmas, they'd asked my sister, why is Julie coming for Christmas without her kids? She said, well, this'll be her first Christmas. They'll be with their dad, so she's going to come hang out with us because she doesn't have any friends. Just kidding, that's not what she said. But it's kind of the truth. Thank you for laughing instead of crying. And so they together, ages 17 through 5, had gotten together and thought, what can we possibly do to help Aunt Julie have a good Christmas? So here they come with this box and they hand it to me and I'm like, and they just have these little sheepish grins. And I open it up and I pull out my very first and only pair of real live Converse All-Star shoes. So the 17-year-old, she was like, there's this one time that Aunt Julie stole my shoes, because she always does, because we're the same size, and it drives me crazy, and she wore my All-Stars, and she said that she thought they were cute. So this is what we're gonna do, guys. And they poured all their money together, no help from their parents, and they went to their parents with all the money and said, we need you guys, we'll give you all this cash and these pennies, we need you to order online a pair of All-Star Converse shoes for Aunt Julie for Christmas. Now, lucky for me, I'm sitting there, I open it, they're hugging me on the couch, it's this really sweet moment, and what's right in my face is my sister with her phone, with the camera, of beautiful me at 5:30 in the morning on 3 hours of sleep. So after this happens, now my whole messaging is all about being seen, about human connection, about how that changes people. And I love to collect things I call ICU moments. Moments where someone saw me, someone saw you, and what that impacted us to do next, both at home and within an organization and within leadership. I mean, I can't think of a better ICU moment, right? Sometimes kids are the best teachers. So I knew I wanted to share online. But did I want to share the raw footage of 5:30 in the morning, Julie, crazy hair? No. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna put on my new kicks. I'm gonna get all cute. I'll take it, take a little picture, and then I'll write out the story. And I thought about it. And I thought, who's this story really about? Is it about me and how I look? Is that the highlight of this story? Is that what makes me choke up and makes you get teary in the audience? No, it's about those little kids gathering their pennies together for their aunt. Which would be more impactful? A gussied up pretty picture of me, I can get kind of cute. Or the picture of me 5:30 in the morning having my nieces and nephews tackle me on the couch with these new shoes. I decided to post the raw footage of what happened in a reel. Don't worry, I might be nice, but I'm still vain. I looked cute by the end of the reel, don't worry. You guys can watch it later if you want, not right now, maybe do it during Michelle's speech. Where's Michelle? She'll have nothing good to say, so watch it during hers, not mine. But I posted this reel, and while following and how many likes things get doesn't mean everything, it was viewed quite a bit. I guarantee that's because I chose to make it about them and not about how I looked, sacrificing my need to have a polished image. So that's the first lesson. That's the first lesson I learned about things to sacrifice. Sometimes we have to be willing to step into that authenticity, and we don't always look good, right? We might share a story that highlights someone else being the hero, and maybe not even us as our best self, but that's relatability, right? It makes it more relatable, so it becomes about the audience, right? Because we sacrifice what we think is important, maybe looking very put together, for what's impactful for them, which has greater impact. As I have continued on my speaking journey through the last couple years, there's another thing that I've noticed, that as I sacrifice it in my story and my keynote, I am being paid more and more. The less I'm talking about myself in my keynote, my fee is getting higher. I'm asking for higher fees, and they're being accepted. I don't think that's a coincidence. The second thing I have found that helps us to sacrifice and helps our keynote be more impactful is unnecessary details of our story. Now, some of you may know that those of us that have known each other for a while, that I have a sister that was and is my very best friend, who was really my person, a stand-in parent, a best friend. I count myself blessed to have a sibling like that. I know we don't all have relationships like that in siblings and in family members. She died 1.5 years ago. And as she died from cancer, it was my privilege to watch the best way to die I've ever witnessed. Now, as I go speak, of course, and I talk about human connection, and I talk about leadership, and I talk about staying soft when you could get hard, I always want to talk about my sis. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you care. I want to talk about her, so I'm going to, right? These stories we have, there are babies. This story about my sister matters a lot to me. And yet, I have realized there are pieces of it that are more impactful than others. What is my message normally? It's about human connection. In fact, more specifically, the through line of my speech is, happiness isn't your business, connection is. And what I mean by that, when I explain that to leaders, is that we can't, when we're looking at this mental health crisis, like what Sean brought up, right? Loneliness epidemic on our hands, our job isn't to force people to be happy. It's to do the opposite of isolation. It's to do what Stanford Medical has shown heals anxiety, depression, suicide ideation, and so forth. It is to connect. It's human connection, and that is something that should be our business. So, as I have talked about my sister and the lessons learned, I have had to learn to cut out parts of that journey that are very important for me that aren't as impactful for the audience, because we sacrifice what is important to us sometimes to leave room for what is impactful to them. And I want to share with you the moment that I now choose to share with my audience. This is the day, there's 4 girls. This is the day me and my 2 older sisters, we buried my sister, Amy. And as you guys know, grief hits at different weird points. Now, certainly, funeral is a normal time to cry, but it'd been an hour or whatever. We were good. We took a picture of sisters behind her coffin, and I don't know what it was in that moment, but all I could think was, there is supposed to be 4 of us. Why is there not 4 of us right now? There's supposed to be 4. There's always been 4. Why isn't there 4? And I'm glad, just like when I was sitting Christmas morning and my sister's videoing the whole thing and I'm not totally aware, I'm glad I didn't know someone recorded this moment that I'm about to show you, because it would have been uncomfortable. It wouldn't have been as natural. And now I'm grateful to have it, because I think the picture shows exactly what I want leaders to understand, and it's this. Happiness isn't our business. I fall apart, I start to crumble, and my sisters grab me from both sides. No one can make me happy in this moment. No one. I've just lost my sis. No one. But can they choose to connect and make sure that I'm not alone going through it? Yes. I share this now instead of other stories about my sister. And what's cool is it is important to me. But I had to sacrifice other parts of the stories, because why? I found from feedback from audiences that this was something they related to. It was impactful to them. They related to funerals and to loss and things like that. And so therefore, I chose and choose to use this story. It aligns with my main message. Happiness isn't our business, connection is. And I just want to promise you guys, as you're thinking about how to craft your keynote, and I mean, we're all learning, right? Like, we get up here like we know what we're doing, and we kind of know, and we're also kind of BSing it half the time, because that's life. One thing I can say, though, is that as I continue on this journey, and as I continue to have this be my full-time job, the way I put bread on the table through speaking fees, I am being paid more and more the more that my keynote story is crafted for the audience and not for me. The more I'm willing to sacrifice my polished image and sacrifice unnecessary details that don't promote the overall message that I want to instill and inspire in them. And I promise you that as you try to do that, from my personal experience, I can tell you that people, they're not just going to let you come speak, but they'll be excited to pay you to speak. Thank you.